So today we have the Sith Lord Darth Vader taking on Midnighter, a hero with incredible precognitive powers. Now I will give you this as a kind of a random matchup, but actually what I love about this fight is how different these two characters are. And I think it makes for one interesting fight, so hang with me here and let's get started. Anakin Skywalker was once a heroic Jedi Knight, but was seduced by the powers of the dark side and became a Dark Lord known as Darth Vader in an attempt to save the life of his wife and onboard children. However, in spite of everything he has done, there were still remnants of good in him. Even after his transformation into Darth Vader, Anakin was still a skilled fighter, and actually used a lot of the same fighting styles. In fact, some people were able to figure out that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker simply by observing his fighting style. However, the new suit significantly limited his speed and agility, but he was much stronger and more pain-resistant. This didn't stop him though, and Vader consistently fought and killed dozens of Jedi, including Jedi Masters. Vader is also very skilled at throwing his lightsaber, as he's actually been able to down ships with a lightsaber throw. After transformation, Anakin's connection to the Force increased exponentially. You see, even though his injuries had physically crippled him, Vader believed that the suffering that he had experienced had both perfected his soul and freed him from the needs of the flesh, allowing him to concentrate solely on his connection with the Force. He's been able to stop an AT-AT from stepping on him, bring down spaceships, and he can even move objects without having to gesture to them, allowing him to throw objects with the Force while engaged in lightsaber combat. He is also infamous for the Force choke and will crush or snap the neck of an adversary. Then in the other corner we have Midnighter. Midnighter is an augmented hero with superhuman physical abilities and the power to run through thousands of fight scenarios in his head before a single punch is thrown. Although he's one of the good guys, Midnighter enjoys violence and brutality and never feels more alive than when he's in the middle of a bloody brawl. Midnighter's abilities give him an all-encompassing advantage in close combat and tactical scenarios. He's got superhuman strength, reflexes, healing, senses, aim, and various other enhancements. His body has been altered to give him superior balance, and he's got faster nerve endings, which allow him to move and react faster than any human. Midnighter has multiple redundant systems built in order to keep him fighting in even the worst of conditions. For example, he has a backup heart, can turn his pain receptors off, and has fought off a hole in his chest, his whole body on fire, and a broken neck and broken limbs. Midnighter's most famous ability, though, is the fact that he can predict how a battle will happen or play out before it even starts. This is because he's got a built-in combat computer that allows him to run through given combat situations millions of times in his mind almost instantaneously, and he can cover nearly every possible result before the first punch is thrown. He then uses this information to predict the actions and reactions of his foes, and he even has the ability to see the outcome of the battle that he wants, and then work his way backwards and follow the right steps to get there. He even has a business card made up that reads, "I know what special abilities you have. I can detect the increased electrical activities in your brain. I know what moves you're bearing to make. I fought our fight already in my head in a million different ways and can hit you without you even seeing me. Your move." Which is pretty badass. Midnighter also regularly carries knives, a bow staff, throwing stars, and grenades. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, what I really like about this fight is how different these two characters are. And I just always find it interesting to see how two completely different power sets will play out or match up. So starting out, I would say that Midnighter is greater physically. A lot of Vader's speed or strength comes from the Force, and while the suit makes him more durable, it does really limit his speed. Midnighter, on the other hand, has superhuman strength, speed, and a nice durability and healing factor. And while he's not durable enough to hold up to a lightsaber, he is more than fast enough to dodge the blade. Then his precognitive ability will also help him see when and where Vader will strike. Now let's just talk about his precognitive abilities for a second. For starters, he's actually able to see an opponent's weaknesses and then exploit them. Like one time he was able to diagnose that Martian Manhunter had a weak bone in his head, and if it was hit just right, bone would break and go to his brain. Midnighter then exploited this, and it actually worked, breaking the bone, but John was able to move his brain in time in order to remain alive. And while Vader's armor is durable enough to hold to lightsaber strikes, there are weak spots. Like Luke's lightsaber didn't really do much when it struck his shoulder, but yet Luke was able to chop off his hand with a lightsaber. so it looks like the wrist is a weak spot on the armor. This is something that Midnighter could diagnose and exploit. And then Vader's breathing apparatus is basically the only thing that's keeping him alive. That's another thing that Midnighter could attack. And then he's extremely manipulative. In Midnighter, he's actually used his precognitive abilities to lead opponents to make certain moves that would eventually lead to their downfall. Those are all very possible things that Midnighter could and would do. However, there's one thing we haven't talked about. The Force. But Midnighter could... No. The Force. But what if Midnighter's... No. The Force. But Midnighter... No. The Force. 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 This is the single most important thing in this fight. Vader almost always uses the Force in excess in combat situations, and has used it to hurl stuff at opponents, disarm opponents, manipulate someone's gear like pulling the pins on their grenades, unleash a Force choke, or just ragdoll people around. Darth Vader's always doing stuff like this, and will sometimes just use the Force to end the battle right from the beginning. And while Midnighter can see millions of different ways the fight could play out, it doesn't necessarily mean he'll win if he's going up against someone that is stronger than him or he can't counter. For example, if Midnighter was fighting against Superman or Doctor Strange, just because he can see different ways the fight would play out, doesn't mean that Midnighter could actually take down Superman or counter Doctor Strange's magic and versatility. Same with the Force. Just because Midnighter can see it, doesn't mean that he can counter for Vader using the Force to just hold him in place, then slicing him apart with a lightsaber. And it's because of the Force and Midnighter's inability to counter it, it's why I gotta give the advantage and victory to Darth Vader. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button for videos just like this one every single day, and I will see y'all next time.